Okay, so have you ever just stopped and thought, like, wow, reality is just, like, stranger than we think?
Yeah, definitely.
What if, like, our whole universe
Yeah.
is just this, like, teeny tiny piece of something way bigger?
Like a much grander reality.
Yeah, something that's, like, interconnected. Well, that's what we're talking about today, the omniverse. It's this mind-blowing concept of, like, infinite possibilities,
Right.
where our choices could have, like, these ripple effects.
Across countless timelines.
Yeah, crazy. So today's deep dive is going to really, like, challenge what you thought you knew about reality, so buckle up.
It is fascinating to think about, like this idea that everything that could happen does happen somewhere in this like massive web of universes.
Exactly. So we're going to explore that crazy idea. And we're going to start with one of the biggest mysteries in, like, all of cosmology,
Okay.
the cosmic microwave background radiation.
The CMB.
Yeah, the leftover heat from the Big Bang.
Right.
But here's the thing that's so weird. The CMB is, like, strangely uniform.
Yeah, it's like finding a perfectly arranged deck of cards like in the middle of a hurricane.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense if you think about our current understanding of how the Big Bang happened.
Totally.
Like entropy, this tendency towards disorder, it should like increase over time.
Of course, yeah.
But the early universe was in this state of incredibly low entropy.
So how do we even explain that?
Yeah.
Like, how does that even make sense?
It's a really good question.
Enter this physicist, Speaker ceneezer,
Speaker seem.
and his collaborators. They proposed that our universe is just one timeline among, like, an infinite number of them.
All existing within this omniverse.
Yeah. And get this, they actually have equations.
Wow.
Like, they're trying to map this out with math.
That's wild.
I know. So, like, our universe's starting point with its super low entropy could have been smoothed out, like, by influences from other timelines.
It's like our universe got like a cosmic makeover before it even started.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Or, maybe our universe is in like this particular region of the omniverse where low entropy is just like favored. Think of it like a cosmic ecosystem.
Right.
Where there's certain conditions that, allow for different types of timelines to like flourish.
That's a really cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
So then that leads us to this other, like, mind-bending concept that Speaker ceneezer proposed, divergence points.
Okay.
And these are like crossroads in time where timelines branch off,
Mm-hmm.
and they create these new realities.
Yeah.
Every decision that we make, every quantum event, even just like random stuff happening, could be a divergence point.
It's like reality is constantly like splitting,
Yeah.
creating all these new branches with every single possibility. To quote Speaker ceneezer himself, he said, "The omniverse is a fractal tapestry of infinite possibilities woven together by the threads of choice and chance."
Oh, wow.
Powerful, right?
That's beautiful. It makes you really think about, like, the potential impact of the choices we make every day.
It really does. Like, if this theory is true, then even like the smallest decisions we make could have huge ramifications across countless timelines.
It's humbling.
Very humbling.
And this ties into the idea of entropy modulation that you mentioned earlier. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So entropy modulation is this idea that some timelines just kind of keep going and some just fade away. And it's based on their level of like harmony,
So are you saying, like, the more chaotic a timeline gets, the more likely it is to just disappear?
Yeah, it's
So,
possible.
like, is the universe pushing for order in some way?
Potentially, yeah. Maybe timelines that tend towards like more chaos and disorder are less likely to last very long. It's an interesting thought. It really challenges our assumptions about like what reality is.
It does. It really does. It makes you wonder if organizations like Digitizing Humanity, with their goal of preserving human memories and experiences, are, like, playing a role in preserving the richness of the omniverse.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're creating a backup of our timeline, just in case.
Yeah. Just in case. Yeah. That's a lot to take in. I think we're, like, barely scratching the surface here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And speaking of scratching the surface, we haven't even talked about twisted loopbacks yet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. But we'll save that for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay. I can't wait.
So we were talking about this crazy idea that our reality, might just be like one tiny thread in this huge multi-dimensional tapestry.
Right.
And we were just talking about how Speaker ceneezer suggests that these timelines can actually like loop back on themselves
Oh, yeah.
and influence their own past.
Okay.
It's a concept he calls twisted loopbacks.
Twisted loopbacks.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this sounds like a sci-fi movie or something.
It does, doesn't it?
Timelines looping back. Like, how does that even I mean,
Yeah, it's a pretty head-spinning concept.
yeah.
Just imagine, like, a time traveling going back in time to stop something from happening.
Okay.
But by going back, they accidentally make that thing happen.
Oh, it's a paradox.
Yeah, it's a paradox, but Speaker Caesar thinks that this is, like, built into the structure of the omniverse.
Whoa. So you're saying that our choices, like what we do today, could actually affect our past.
It's possible.
That's like that changes everything.
Yeah, it really challenges, like, our typical understanding of cause and effect.
For
It's
sure.
like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Right, right.
Speaker Caesar says that these twisted loopbacks create, like, this self-consistency in the omniverse. Like,
Okay.
reality is always weaving itself together, into this story that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
even if it seems like a paradox to us.
Okay, so then what about free will? I mean,
Mhm.
if our past can be changed by stuff we do in the future, are we really making our own choices?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's something that philosophers and physicists have been debating forever.
I bet.
And the omniverse theory just adds, like, a whole other level to it.
Right.
But, even if these twisted loopbacks are real, it doesn't necessarily mean that free will is fake.
So we could still be making choices, even if those choices are like part of a bigger plan.
Exactly. Like, our choices might be contributing to that harmony of the omniverse we talked about,
Yeah.
even if we don't totally get, like, the whole cause and effect thing across all these different timelines.
Okay, I'm following you.
And this is where Speaker Caesar's work connects to another really interesting idea, quantum immortality.
Okay, I think I've heard of this.
Yeah.
So it's like even when we die in one timeline, our consciousness could like move to another one where we survived.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like our consciousness is a separate thing,
In a way,
apart from our body.
it suggests that consciousness is like this fundamental part of the omniverse, something that goes beyond just a single timeline.
Okay.
Imagine it this way. Every time there's a divergence point, like we were talking about, your consciousness splits,
Okay.
and it keeps going in each of the new timelines.
So there's like countless versions of me out there living out all these different possibilities.
It's like the omniverse is a giant choose-your-own-adventure book
Yeah.
with our consciousness, like, branching off at every page.
Wow.
And it connects back to what digitizing humanity is doing,
Wow.
preserving those memories.
Right.
Like, maybe they're contributing to, like, saving consciousness across multiple timelines.
What a wild thought.
It is.
But okay, let me ask this. If there's like infinite timelines,
Right.
doesn't that mean that some of them, like humanity messed up big time? Like timelines where everything went wrong.
That's possible, but remember, the omniverse theory says there's, like, this natural selection thing going on.
Yeah.
Timelines that are more harmonious and ordered, they're the ones that are probably going to stick around.
So like the bad ones, they just kind of fizzle out.
Yeah, potentially.
And the good ones, they keep going.
Maybe it's like the omniverse is guiding us towards something better,
Like, even if we don't realize it. It's hard to wrap my head around all of this, like infinite timelines, choices, echoing forever. I mean,
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that the omniverse theory, it's still a theory,
right.
but it's a very interesting one.
It really makes you look at your life differently.
I think so.
Like my choices actually matter
Yeah.
on a much bigger scale than I ever imagined.
And it makes you think about how everything's connected. We're
Yeah.
all part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
Okay, so if the omniverse is all about harmony, how do we like actually make that happen? Especially with all the, problems in the world today.
That's the big question, isn't it? And Speaker Caesar talks about this in his work.
Okay.
He thinks the key is understanding and recognizing that we're all connected
Yeah.
and making choices that help everyone, not just ourselves,
Okay.
across all timelines.
So even though there might be like infinite versions of me out there making different choices, we're all still connected somehow.
That's the amazing part, isn't it? The omniverse is a pretty complex idea, but it has a really hopeful message.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we're not alone, that what we do matters, and that we can work together to make things better.
And not just for ourselves.
But for everything.
I like that. Wow, so we've gone like deep down the rabbit hole today, huh?
Yeah, we have.
This whole omniverse theory.
Yeah.
With branching timelines and twisted loopbacks.
Yeah.
And the idea that like when we die here, our consciousness might just pop up somewhere else. It's wild.
It really is. It definitely makes you think about reality in a whole new way, doesn't it?
It really does. But before we get totally lost in all the like theoretical stuff, I want to bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
What does all this mean for, regular people just living their lives. Like, why should we even care about the omniverse?
Well, I think even if the omniverse is just like a thought experiment, it changes how we see things.
How so?
Well, it makes you realize that everything's connected, you know? Our actions have consequences, and we're part of something much, much bigger.
So it's like those cheesy posters that say, you can make a difference.
Yeah, kinda. But here, it's not just about your own life, it's about all these other timelines out there, too.
So our choices really do matter.
Exactly. We have the power to create a better future. Not just for us, but for like the entire omniverse.
That's a pretty amazing thought.
It is, isn't it?
And we're not alone in all of this either.
Right.
Like there could be a million versions of us out there making different choices, but we're all connected somehow.
Yeah, that's the really cool part, this sense of connection. Like we're all on this journey together. Even if we never meet those other versions of ourselves, it's comforting to know they might be out there.
It is. It is. It's a lot to process, but I think you've given us a lot to think about.
Good. I hope so. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah,
Asking questions, exploring new ideas, and seeing where they lead us.
absolutely. Well, on that note, we want to thank you all for tuning in to this deep dive into the Omniverse. It's been quite a ride.
It has.
And, it's kind of like what digitizing humanity is doing, preserving those precious memories here. Maybe, in a way, we're all doing our part to create a better future across all those timelines out there.
That's a great way to put it.
So thank you again for all the likes, shares, comments, and support. Keep those questions coming, keep exploring, and never stop looking for the truth, no matter how crazy it might seem.
Absolutely. And until next time, may all your choices create some good vibes out there in the omniverse.